welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Monika and this is episode 12. I think I'll start with what I'm wearing. This is one of my self-drafted sweaters. It is an all-over cable sweater. I haven't figured out a name for it yet, but it will be released sometime next year. It's knit up in Lykkegarn merino in the colorway Mars. I'm gonna include this sweater in a bonus episode next week, everything I've knit in 2024. And in that video I will be talking about some changes to some of the knits I'm gonna do during 2025. Yeah, I think we'll just go right into the whips. I don't have any finished objects this week. Last week was a week with a lot of finished objects because it was the last episode before Christmas, so a lot of the finished objects were, well, actually all of the finished objects were Christmas presents. But everything I'm knitting now is for my own pleasure, I guess. So yeah, I'll start with the one at the top. This is something you've seen before if you have seen any of my previous episodes. This is my, oh sorry for all the clacking. This is my sailor sweater. And I have knit a lot on this in the past week. I've had my vacation, my Christmas vacation, and this one has gotten a lot of love. This is the stitch marker for where I was last time. And as you can see, I'm now actually doing the ribbing at the bottom. And I'm gonna get poked with my needles because I didn't put needle stoppers on. Oh well. Yeah. This has been a very long-term project. I started this in August. The yarn I'm using is, the white one is Viking Garn Alpakka Storm in the colorway 500, which I think is just called white. And the turquoise one is Rauma MITU in the colorway 5775. I'm gonna have to check if that has any specific color name too, but I haven't done that so far. So yeah, I'm almost done with the ribbing. I'm gonna do the same with the ribbing as I did with the collar, which is I'm gonna end with the 2 setup rows before doing the tubular cast off, Italian cast off. Yeah. It's gonna take me ages because there's like almost 300 stitches in the body, but I have been enjoying knitting on this in the round. I did get some new knitting needles. I'm very pleased with the needles. There's only one issue I have, which I can actually talk about at the end. No, I'm gonna say it now or else I might forget. One of the joins are like less than 0.5 millimeter thicker than the needle. The other one is not, they're exactly the same size, but it means that it catches on the yarn while I'm knitting. And it's a bit annoying, and I think the solution is just to change the cable around, but that means I have to like either insert a cable stitch holder or something else and then just switch them around. Because literally this wouldn't have been a problem if the needles were the other way around. I did try and just change needles, perhaps it was just one of the needles were a tiny bit thinner than the other, but it's actually the join, so it didn't help switching them around. But this is only a problem with the smallest size, the 3 millimeter needles. The other needles I've tried do not have that problem at all, so I think it's just this very specific cable has that manufacturer error, I guess. I mean, it's, you can barely feel the difference when you use your fingers to feel, and it's only on one side of the needle where you can slightly feel it catching. I think like perhaps even if I just sanded it down a bit, it would be not a problem at all. And perhaps that's just what I gotta do. Because, to be honest, I don't think even it's the join, I think it's the we have these holes where you can put like lifelines through, and they also use it to tighten up the needle so it sits even tighter. Though for some reason I am unable to tighten these needles tight enough for it not to unscrew themselves while I'm knitting this specific thing. I haven't had that issue with them before. I'm a bit annoyed. Only the small size. So I'm guessing that's just one manufacturer issue, I guess. Oh well. This sweater, as I said, been on my needles since August, and we're now quite close to the end of the year. So I really want to at least get the body done this year, so I just have the sleeves next year. This is also a self-drafted pattern. It's gonna be released next year too, and though probably not until spring, because for me this is giving me spring vibes, like when I don't have a boat, but you take the boat out for the first time or you're doing some maintenance, and this is a sweater that you like put on the first time you put the boat back on the water. So yeah, I get that kind of vibes with this one. So yeah, for me this is a spring, early summer knitwear. I actually did enjoy making this construction because I started with either this or this, no, this turquoise one, and I started knitting up instead of knitting down, because I wanted to do this very cute shoulder details, which I really did enjoy. So I knit up and I cast off some of the stitches in the middle, and then I continued decreasing, and then I started increasing over the shoulders, and then eventually I had like 1 or 2 stitches at the top. I don't actually remember, so I have to check my notes. And then I increased at the back, or rather I picked up while I increased, so that you get this very crisp line. And I am very glad I did it the front first, because the back of the stitches are not as neat as the front. So the front, when you look at the sweater from the front, it's very, very, very neat. And in the back, it's not sloppy, I wouldn't say that, but you can clearly see where I picked up the stitches, which was not the vibe I wanted, I guess. But it's very hard to pick up stitches in a way that they don't show. One way I could kind of avoid that is just not cast off, but just leave 1 stitch and then kind of do like German short rows. But I didn't do that. So yeah, I wanted to cast them off. It does give a very, very secure join at the top. Very nice. And also it does mean that these colors do end at a point, and I really do enjoy that. So yeah, it's a very beautiful detail. So hopefully, actually later today probably, I will be done with the ribbing, and then I will probably put this aside for a while and keep stabbing myself with the needles. Mostly just because this is a pattern I'm planning on releasing this spring, and not probably not until like April, maybe even May. And that means that's a low priority knit at the moment. And while I do have some other knits that I either have to release earlier, or I'm gonna have to push them till winter because they are clearly winter knits. Though I do know what pattern I'm gonna release actually next week probably. No, the week after. I'm planning on releasing it on probably a Monday. Maybe I should release it on the Saturday before. I don't know when one should release patterns. I've only released one pattern so far, and I released that on a Friday. So, I don't know. We can just continue with the rest of the knits, I think. This one is a fairly new knit. I have to actually check my notes and my podcast to figure out when I did cast this on, because apparently I didn't write it down. Okay, I am a bit tangled because I do have a lot of yarn at the moment, and a lot of needles. I'm gonna do this. This is an all over textured sweater. I'm gonna show you the back because I haven't done much in the front yet. No, there you go. This is the back, and it rolls a lot because it's stockinette with texture on top. I've really been enjoying this knit. This is also a self-drafted pattern. All of the patterns I'm working on at the moment are self-drafted, in case I forget to say. And this has been a joy to knit on. I've really been enjoying this diamond pattern, and also the columns afterwards. And I have separated them with a garter stitch border. And these two stitch patterns I'm going to repeat throughout the sweater. And this is a type of twisted rib, so I'm going to have twisted rib cuffs and collar and hem too. So yeah, these are the new knitting needles I got for Christmas, so yeah. I really do think it's only the smallest needles that have that join issue, because these ones does not at all. They're super smooth. I had no issues with this at all. So yeah, I have picked up for the front. One of the sides I'm done with the pickup until where I'm gonna join in front. That's why I just stopped. The other one I started, but I wasn't in the mood for texture at that moment. So I have picked up a knit, I think 7 rows or something. You pick up and make that garter stitch ridge border before you start on the pattern. So you get this very nice garter stitch thing on top of the shoulders. So yeah, I'm very pleased. This is going quite well, I think. This is knit up in Smart Superwash, which is a Sandnes Garn yarn. It's superwash. I do very much enjoy that. And also this colorway was called Sjøgrønn, which is sea green, which, I mean, I think it's makes sense. Though I would kind of more classify it as foresty green, but with a slight petroleum undertone, which is probably why they call it sea green instead of forest green. But yeah, I really do enjoy knitting on this. This has been a real freedom piece for me, because I've been so bored with stockinette. I accidentally started way too many stockinette projects, and now I'm kind of in a rut with stockinette, so I'm very glad I do have some texture. I do miss knitting on my cabled sweater, this one, and I'm gonna make a second sample. that's a big saga. Let me finish with this one. But yeah, as soon as I knit this side the same length as this side, I'm gonna cast on some stitches in the middle and then knit down until they're both the same length as the front and the back, I guess. And then I have to do some measurements to figure out how much longer I need this piece to be, because this is not gonna be on the shoulder. It's more gonna be like this, which means I'm gonna have to do some measurements to figure out how much longer I need to knit the front, how much longer I need to knit the back, before I can join them for the underarms. And I'm also gonna do some underarm shaping, because this is not long enough to fit over my back and also connect under the arms. That's just not gonna happen. So I'm gonna do some underarm shaping, but I'm gonna have to do some measurements first, try it on properly and see that I actually can make them join where I want them to be, or at least get a proper fit. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fine, but there is some work going into that. So yeah, not a lot more to say about this. Gotta put it away. Now, talking about this cable sweater, I did say I wanted to knit up a second sample in this blue yarn with this alpaca. Oh, I do have a hair in my face. That alpaca. It's not mohair, but it's the same thickness as mohair. It's like alternative to mohair, I guess. Because this sweater is knit up in a yarn that is 225 meters per 100 grams, while this one is 200 meters per 50 grams. And in my head, I completely switch it around, meaning this yarn is thicker than this yarn. I can't use lace and this and get the same thickness. It's going to be a lot thicker. And I was super annoyed at myself for not realizing that earlier, because both of these are Rauma. I think this is Rauma Fibel, or maybe, yeah, probably Fibel. And I realized I could have bought Rauma Tretråds instead, and then used this with it if I just had this color or a slightly darker one that matched this one. I don't know where the math went wrong or where my thinking was. I was probably super stressed because of work and stuff, so it went wrong. And now I'm kind of thinking like, that's not gonna go the way I wanted to. And this one, the smart one, is actually the same thickness as this one, except this one is quite loosely spun, so it is even thicker than this, and this is too thick to work on this. Probably. It's gonna be a different gauge. And usually I don't mind if the gauge isn't the same, but since it's gonna be a second sample, I probably should get the same gauge, or else it's not. I'm not showing the sweater from the best side, I guess. But this is the light sample, the light colored one, so all the cables are gonna shine and all of that. But I want a sweater that's more my colors, which was why I was planning on using, wow, this is hard, this green, which I'm now kind of leaning against doing anyway, because it's the exact same length as this one. It's just a different hand dyed, it's a different hand dyer, but it's the same base wool. And I really do love that green. It is a beautiful green. I was really hoping I got a Swift for Christmas, so that I didn't have to like do it by hand. but I guess I can just hand bind it or order a Swift online, I guess. I'm not gonna start that sweater until next year anyway, because I do have a lot of things I want to get done. But yeah, I'm just annoyed with myself for not being able to do math, apparently. Which, I mean, that's a staple when it comes to knitters, I guess. Even us that works in STEM, but... oh well. I'm actually gonna take a different whip now, which I'm a bit annoyed at myself because I forgot this one last week. It's been in a bag that I used to bring to work, and then I just put the bag with everything in it in the closet, and I don't even understand why. So I was like sitting last week and like, where are my socks? I don't understand. But yeah, this is a pair of vanilla socks. Nothing special. Very standard. There've been hell working on these, which I have now decided is probably the needle size. So I'm never gonna do that again. These are knit up on 2mm needles. I didn't actually say, but the sailor sweater is knit up on 3mm needles, and the green one is on 3.5. But these are on 2mm needles, knit up in 2 different yarns. The purple base color is knit up in Mrs. Fox Gritted Merino in the colorway Cold Shoulder, kald, skulder. While the peach one is Life in the Long Grass Singles in the colorway Angel City. The reason why these socks never get done is because I just do not enjoy knitting on 2mm needles. It takes ages, my hands get tired, and the gauge is really tight, so they're gonna be really good socks when I'm done with them. But I just do not enjoy knitting on this, so these are just... takes ages. I think I've knit like 2, 4, 6, 7 rows in 2 weeks, and I actually think that's a lot of progress on these ones. I don't know if they will ever get done. They will eventually get done, but I'm never gonna knit socks on 2mm needles ever again. Magic loop is usually my preferred method for knitting socks, but on these tiny needles it has not been enjoyable. Perhaps I should try double pointed needles just for these 2 socks and see if that helps, but I really do hate using double pointed needles. So perhaps I should either invest in some shorty needles, or I have seen these like tiny needles that are like with some flex things in the middle, so you use 3 needles, kind of like magic loop, but you get a bit more flexibility. Perhaps that would help, because I do think because one socks fit exactly on 1 needle, it is a bit yeah, it's not as flexible as it could have been, I guess. Of course, they do not make these small needles in interchangeable sets, because I do have a tiny interchangeable set that goes all the way down to 3mm, which I have knit socks on when I do them with a larger gauge or thicker yarn, which is actually quite enjoyable. But as soon as I get up to 3mm needles, magic loop method is actually very enjoyable too. So I really do just think it's the really tight gauge and the tiny needles that are making this a slog. I might next year try and find flex needles in 2mm. I don't know. I gotta have to do something, or else these will never get done. 7 rows in 2 weeks means I won't get these done until next Christmas, and that's... that wasn't the plan. And it's really sad because I actually do enjoy knitting socks. I have knit quite a lot of socks this year, which you will see in the bonus episode if you want to. But yeah, this had just not worked out for me. Which is sad. Very sad. Yeah. I won't be able to show everything I've knit, but I can tell you about them because I have given at least 2 pairs of socks away. So, and 4 hats. So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, and also I think I threw away a pair because I actually wore them out. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, no, I do remember. Just have to write it down, I guess. But anyway, those are these socks. Gotta find a better solution. Do like the heel though. It's a nice slip stitch heel. But not enjoyable to knit at all, sadly. So yeah, I'm putting these away. Do not enjoy knitting all those. I think I'm gonna put them here. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do the Colorwork hat now. I'm actually quite close to finishing. I was inspired by the Musselborough hat in the sense that I've started with the crown hair and then I knit a super long tube and now I'm decreasing very, very slowly. Because this is going to be a Santa hat. Oh, there's the decrease. It kind of cuts off one of the reindeer, as you might see. And I'm just gonna continue decreasing until the hat is done, I guess. Yeah. A long tube. So eventually it will hang down with a tassel at the end, or perhaps a pom-pom. I haven't quite decided. But I think I have like 40 more rows or something. But this is now where I come into this like snowfall, starry night pattern thing. So it is very mindless. And I must say, I do think that my color work has improved quite a lot since the start, or like the reindeers. So I can't wait for this to be finished. And I don't know if I'm gonna block it before I pack it down. I gotta have this done within the next week, because for one, this is a Christmas hat, so I want it to be done this Christmas so I can pack it away for next. We bring out all our Christmas decorations either the 1st of December or the first Sunday in Advent, depending on which one comes first. Because the first Sunday in Advent can be in November. And then we put on our Santa hats and all of that for work the 1st of December. So either the 1st of December is the day when we have picked everything up. Actually, we would then do it the 30th of November just to, have everything ready for the day after. And we start decorating for Christmas. It's a tradition in my husband's family, so for his sake we kept it, because in my family we don't usually do a lot of decorating until like the day before Christmas Eve. We celebrate on Christmas Eve, so my grandpa would have stored the tree until the day before Christmas Eve, taken it upstairs, we could admire the tree, go to bed, and then when we wake up the next morning it's decorated. That's a tradition in our family, but my husband's family is like super happy and loves Christmas, so they start early. And I really do want to try and like keep some of my husband's traditions alive. So yeah, I don't mind starting Christmas a bit earlier, just not the end of November is the earliest we're willing to start Christmas. So yeah, I do enjoy knitting on this. It's been flying after I got done with the reindeer, because then I didn't have to look so much at the chart. So from here on up, it's been super fast. And now I don't have to look at the chart at all, because I can just look at the rows below and remind myself where I am. So yeah, I've been enjoying this. It's knit up in babyull lanett in 3 different colors. Though the white one is 1001. And I really did panic thinking I wouldn't have enough of this white yarn, so I tried to buy more. But they didn't have 1001, they had 1012. And it wasn't the perfect match, but I panicked and bought it anyway, and I will definitely not need more. I might need an extra ball of the red, because I have used 2 so far. But I do have more, so that's not a problem. I do not remember the colorway for the red. It will be on the screen at some point down here. I'm gonna try something different this time when it comes to the cards. When I start talking about the colors again, I'm gonna pop it up a second time, because I do pop them up as soon as I start talking about the project, and I leave it there for 10 seconds. But I do realize that a lot of people will want to know the color while I'm talking about the color. So I'm gonna pop it up again while doing that. So yeah, you will see the name of the color, or already seen the name of the color, and at the bottom. Yeah, I'm very, very pleased with this project. It's very nice. I like it. I'm gonna have it done before December is done. We don't... actually, I don't need it to be done before December is done, because we're gonna take down Christmas probably the 5th of January, because the 6th is on a Monday. So that's like the latest. So I'm gonna need to have this done before next weekend, so I can just put it in the box with all the decorations. One of the 2. I'm gonna have to remember to remove that guy. He can't stay here all year. That's gonna be sad. It's gonna be lonely. So yeah. That's the Santa hat. I'm very pleased. Yeah, that's about it. I might extend this part, because when I folded it last time, I figured the brim was a bit short, and if I still wanted this part to be shown. So I might just extend this part, just to get it a tiny bit longer. I am gonna do something I haven't done before. If I do that, I'm gonna insert needles quite close to each other, like 1 row in between, and then I'm gonna cut the yarn between them, and then I'm gonna knit, and then Kitchener stitch them together. Just because I haven't done it before, and I would like to try that. I know it wouldn't take long to just pick up and knit the brim or the decreases again, but I would like to try once with the Kitchener stitch method, just to have done it and see how much work it actually is, because I don't think it's going to be a big issue, to be honest. Who knows? So yeah, that is if I decide I'm gonna extend it, which I don't know. I do want all of the colorwork to show, of course. Perhaps I'll fold it on the inside instead. That's a possibility. I haven't decided. Okay, I'm sorry, my phone is vibrating, so I'm just gonna turn it off. This is super annoying. Yeah, turn off. I do not like my phone vibrating while I'm doing stuff, but I do get... everyone in my family gets super annoyed when I turn my phone off, even though I'm trying to tell them that I'm not going to look at it anyway, so what does it matter if the phone is on or off? It just annoys me when I can hear it buzzing all the time. So yeah. Well, oh well. This is the Santa hat. I'm now gonna just get the yarn inside it, so I know everything is together. This is where my needle stoppers are, so that's just so that the stitches won't fall off the needles when there were quite a few of them on the needles. Now there are not a lot left, and I actually gonna have to either do magic loop at the end or something else, and I haven't done magic loop with Colorwork before, so that could be kind of fun. Though I don't think I'm gonna like end up with 2 stitches at the end. I think I'm gonna end up with like perhaps 8 or something, and then just pull the yarn through, because at that point I don't want it to be too pointy either, and I do want to have enough stitches that the pom-pom don't accidentally like stretch the last stitches a lot. So yeah, we'll see. Putting this away. Okay. This one is just for the other project. I'm just gonna put it away. So yeah, I have 2 more projects to show. So I'm gonna show the one that you have seen before, which is my red sweater. This one I haven't knit on at all, and I'm probably gonna put this away for a while because I'm so bored with stockinette, to be honest. So I think putting this away for a little while until I need a stockinette project, because as I just said, I have too many stockinette projects. I have the sailor sweater, which is technically just stockinette, but it's striped. And I have the hat, which is Colorwork, but still just stockinette. And then I have this one, and I have knit so many hats which have been mostly stockinette too. And I need a break. So, yeah, and also the socks are stockinette. No wonder I'm overloaded with stockinette projects. Anyway, this is my red sweater. It's super soft because it's made out of Strikkekista potensial, which is 50% silk and 50% superwash merino. And this is the colorway lollipop. This is also a self-drafted pattern. It's a saddle shoulder. I have not gotten very far. These are the stitches that's supposed to be over the arms, so I'm gonna have to have a lot more if I'm gonna be able to wear it. I'm planning on just knitting until I get to the row counter, and then removing the row counter and inserting a stitch marker just to show the beginning of round instead. And yeah, as soon as I've done that, I'm gonna put this into hibernation until probably Easter. I haven't done that before, but I do realize that if I keep switching between all the stockinette projects I have, I'm never gonna get done. And this is a project that I'm planning on, if I'm gonna release it. I have actually written all the details for this pattern. If I'm gonna release it, it's gonna be early summer. Even though the color might not seem like a summer color, the yarn is definitely a summer yarn. So yeah, I'm gonna save this for a few months to get some of the other things done. And also I want to start on a cable sweater, and how many projects can you work on at the same time? I'm not gonna miss these needles because they are 2.5 millimeter needles. And I do have an extra set that I use for sock knitting, though I don't know if 2.5 are too small too. I'm gonna try. As soon as I'm done with these ones, I'm gonna cast on a pair of socks with like proper sock yarn on 2.5 millimeter needles instead of 2. And I'm gonna try with 56 stitches instead of 64. The reason why I went down to 2 millimeter needles on the sock project was so I could still have 64 stitches, and I still fit my feet because my feet are quite small. But that's just not been enjoyable. So I'm gonna go down the amount of stitches instead and see if that's better. Perhaps even 2.5 needles are too small, so I'm gonna go up to 3 And in that case, I'm gonna be a happy camper because I love knitting socks on 3mm needles. So we'll see. Perhaps it'll be too loose, like the gauge will be too loose. I don't know. Anyway, so the plan for this one is just to knit like this amount so I can remove this one and then just put this away somewhere. That's the plan. And that's because I do have a lot of plans I want to start in January. I might actually have a bonus episode with my plans for the spring, or rather the winter, because we're still in winter. Plans until spring, it's more correct to say. Because this one I will be hibernating until spring. I haven't done that before. It's kind of fun. 2 projects I'm gonna hibernate till spring. Or at least till my birthday, so like around Easter. Yeah, I do enjoy this project, though it is very, very slow. I really do love this yarn, it's super soft. But there's 2.5mm needles and there's 600 meters in 100 grams, which is why this takes so long. And yeah, too many stockinette projects, so I'm gonna take a break. So yeah, that's that one. And now we're at the very last project, which I'm very excited about because this is my second sample of a pattern that I'm gonna release next week or early the week after. So yeah, I'm very excited. This is a pair of socks that at the moment are super tangled. What on earth have I done? There you go. So as you can see, I did try to start a pair of socks for my sister-in-law because she wanted a pair of socks for Christmas, but I did quite fast realize 2 things. One, I cast them on the wrong size needles. I cast them on 3.5 instead of 3mm needles, which was silly because obviously that's the wrong size needles. And also I did realize that it was like less than a week until Christmas, and unless I only knit the socks I'm not gonna have time, and I was also knitting 4 hats, so I wouldn't have time. But I do still want to knit my sister-in-law a pair of socks. So when these samples are done, they are gonna be for my sister-in-law because they're gonna be too big for me. My size feet are probably gonna be the small size. I have actually written up the pattern, but I don't have it in front of me, so I don't remember if there's a size that's smaller than my feet, but I don't think so. I think this is the 3rd size, 3rd or 4th. No, 3rd, because there's a bigger size. I haven't decided if I'm gonna release the junior size, but probably not. Mostly because children's feet are not the same proportions as adult feet. They have kind of like taller insteps and shorter feet, and also their feet are growing so fast, so it's better to knit socks that have adjustable foot length. Yeah, and I don't usually knit a lot of socks for children because they wear out quite fast. But yeah, these are 72 stitch socks, which I am knitting up in Alpakka Storm, which is my favorite sock yarn. I love it. No, it's not Alpakka Storm, Alpakka Forte, I'm sorry. Alpakka Forte. This one is a brown color. I do somewhere have written down the color name for the other one too. Yeah. There are 2 color socks. I probably pop up a picture here with the socks that I already knit. Which are blue, no, I mean brown and green. And are the socks I'm wearing right now, which is why I'm not showing them, because I want to wash them before I show them to anyone. They are at the moment very well worn. But yeah, I'm gonna pop up a picture perhaps I already have. And they're gonna be the same, but I'm gonna use red instead of green. I was originally planning on using red and mustard yellow, but when I saw the two colors together, I got like Gryffindor vibes, and that wasn't my intentions. I wanted more like forest vibes, because the first pair is also kind of foresty vibes. So instead of like being brown and green, they're now brown and red, which I kind of thinking like fall berries or maybe flowers in the forest kind of vibes. That's at least the plan. Because I don't know yet what I'm gonna call the socks. I have a few contenders when it comes to the name, but I haven't decided. So I'm gonna have to decide quite quickly what they're gonna be called. And then I have to translate the pattern. I'm gonna translate them to my native tongue instead of into English, because sock patterns for me, for some reason, are easier to write in English. So yeah, the original pattern that I'm inspired by are the color palette socks. I do not remember what the designer's name is. I don't actually know if I ever read the designer's name. That's a bit disturbing. But yeah, I was inspired by them, so I knit up a pair quite a while ago that I now gave to my grandpa. And then I was like, the reason why I gave those socks to my grandpa was because they ended up being too big for me, and the color palette socks are is a free pattern. You're supposed to knit them up on either 2.5 or 2mm needles, and with more colors than just 2. And also there's only one size, and a different heel construction, different toe construction. So I changed the heel and toe construction. I changed the colors. So instead of having, I think it's 6 colors, I only went with 2. I changed some of the ribbing. I changed quite a lot. And eventually I also graded it for a lot of sizes. And then I was like, I've made so many changes that they are like my own design at this point. But I do want to make clear that I did get inspired originally by the color palette socks, so that if anyone see my pattern, don't want to pay for it, but still want to knit the socks, I can direct them to the color palette socks, so they can still, if they want to, get a great pair of socks. And also that designer will then get more attention, and I really feel bad for not remembering what the person is called. I really have to figure that out. I do think I did add it to one of the videos with the first time I talked about the socks, but I do not know. I think something happened with my trash can or something. I don't know. At least, this is the very last project that I'm having on my needles at the moment. I've only knit 7 rows perhaps? 6 rows. So yeah, the ribbing at the top is what always takes the longest for me, and I really do want these samples to be done before I release the pattern. But if not, I'm still gonna release it and then add this as a project on Ravelry. I really do need to get going on the Ravelry thing. I haven't updated my stash in quite a while. I haven't updated all my projects. I don't even think I have completed all the projects that are for my own hat. So I really do have to like, this hat is done, this hat is done, this hat is done, this hat is done. And these are the sizes I've knit them in, and my head size for comparison. There's a lot of work I gotta do, I think. But yeah, this is gonna be a priority knit this week. So there's 2 things I'm gonna do. First, I'm gonna do the red sweater. I just get to the point of removing the row counter and adding a stitch marker instead. That's one, because that's not gonna take very long. And then I'm gonna put that somewhere where I can find it later. hopefully. So that's one. Then I'm gonna complete ribbing on the sailor sweater and remove the needles there, and then put that one into hibernation. And that's 2 sweaters I'm gonna put away for the year. Or not a year, but like for a few months. And when I'm done with that, first the hat. The hat is gonna get done first, and then this. So I do actually have a lot of things I gotta do. It wasn't quite the relaxing holiday I was kind of planning, but then again, I don't start working again until the 13th. Because, kind of news I guess, I'm gonna start a new job. So yeah, that's why I've been so stressed in December. I'm trying to wrap everything up and yeah, sign all the contracts and stuff. And I decided to take a longer vacation. So yeah, I'm not gonna start the new job until 13th of January, which is like the second Monday. That could have been a work day. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that. That means that my husband goes back to work a week earlier. He has taken 2 days off so that he can have a longer Christmas vacation too. But he's going back to work on the 6th, which means I do have a week there where I can focus on getting back into routines, but also get a lot of knitting done and perhaps get further with quite a lot of the writing of pattern. So yeah, the knitting part is the fun part. The writing down the pattern part is quite hard, but being done with writing down the pattern is very fun. So yeah, I think I'm gonna, in the week between my husband goes back to work and I go back to work, I'm gonna start on the second sample for this sweater. I am also gonna do quite a lot of changes to this sweater and 2 other sweaters, 3 other sweaters. There's a lot of the finished objects that I've done this year that when I was done with them, I was pretty pleased with them and used them a lot. And while wearing them, there were small things that made me think, maybe I'm gonna change that. And I have now decided that I'm gonna do all those changes, but I'm not gonna do those changes until next year. Mostly just because it's kind of funny that the end of next year I can then have everything I made this year and have a few extra pieces that's more like I didn't knit them this year, but I did fix the things that annoyed me last year. So yeah, that's kind of funny. And also I do enjoy showing some of that to you guys. The thing I'm going to change about this pattern is because this is all over cabled, it is already cinched in a bit, which means that when you knit the collar without decreasing anything, the collar is actually too wide. So you might be able to see that actually this part here is a bit stretched out compared to here, and I would rather have it more like this. So I'm going to do some decreases. The decreases I'm going to do around the collar will make it tighter, which will also make the sleeves shorter. And if I stand up, it is actually perfect bracelet length. But when I fix the collar, it's going to be more like this. I checked. And the problem with this is that when I'm sitting down, this and our arms are then even. So they look too short, even though they are like when I'm standing up perfect length. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna extend. Oh, my arms are peeling a lot. Sleeves. I'm gonna extend them a few rows, and I'm also gonna do some decreases because, as you can see, I do think they're too big. So I'm gonna do some decreases there, and probably the collar is gonna be the same length, but increasing the length of the arm. Though I am then also gonna do some more decreases, because you can see I do the decreases in this part, which I really do enjoy. I think it looks very nice. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do some more decreases to make it look very nice and get them long enough. And the last thing I'm gonna do is the hem. The hem has the same problem as the collar does. Because of all the cotton cables, the body is quite narrow, but then the hem, since I knit them on the same needles and didn't decrease any stitches, it kind of flares out. That wasn't a problem in the beginning because I blocked it in such a way that it was straight down. But I have also learned this year that I do not enjoy when sweaters just go straight down, because I get cold and I would rather have my hems cinch in a bit, so that it kind of like hugs that part of the body and traps the heat. So yeah, I do know that's not a look that everyone likes, but I will at least not have it flare out because that just looks silly. So yeah, I'm gonna decrease a few stitches and change the needle size, and in the pattern I'm gonna recommend that you knit the collar, hem and cuffs on a needle that's at least one size smaller than the body. I think I knit this in 4mm. I gotta have to find my other, let me see. Yeah, the body is knit up in 4mm needles. I'm gonna recommend that the collar and everything is knit up in 3mm needles because of the difference between the cables and the ribbing, just to make sure that it actually cinches in the way it's supposed to. And also, I still think that the collar in the back is too short compared to the front. I'm gonna try and show you this way. I did the short rows in the collar to kind of like raise the back of the neck a bit, but I didn't do enough in my opinion. I did more in the first one and I thought that looked too much, but in hindsight I missed that tall collar. So yeah, I am gonna do I think I used German short rows or wrap and turns, probably German short rows, and I'm gonna do them more often, and I'm gonna do them because when I'm gonna remove this because I have already done that once. This one is knit up with the German short rows first and then folded over. So it's probably going to be taller in the front too, because depending on how many rows with German short rows I have in the back, I'm going to have to knit twice that many to fold them over to kind of like not show the German short rows. And that amount of fabric in the front will also end up in the back, will also end up in the front, but only half, because here in the front I will knit one round to have a place where I can like stitch down the stitches, and then start German short rows probably from here, there and there, because I do enjoy that this part is same all the way around, but I'm gonna have them rapidly increasing in the back. So this part will be taller, but I don't know how much taller. So yeah, I really do enjoy this sweater. I'm very pleased with the pattern. It's only the details that I haven't quite gotten down yet, with the collar and the cuffs and the hem. And I think that's just because I'm not very experienced with knitting sweaters. I have so far only knit 3. I have knit a lot of t-shirts, but I usually use I-cord on those, not ribbing. So yeah, I think that's the biggest difference. I'm just a bit inexperienced yet, so I'm having to do a lot of learning. I'm saying I'm inexperienced with knitting sweaters, not knitting in itself, because as you might have heard previously, I have like 30 years of knitting experience, but for some reason I didn't actually start knitting sweaters until last winter, I think. It was still this year. So I knit one sweater and was like, yeah, this works. And then I spent all summer knitting a lot of t-shirts, and then I went back to knitting sweaters. This was the second sweater, no, third sweater I knit. The first one was an experiment, and I wasn't quite happy with everything, but it kind of worked out. The second one was the Seascape cardigan, no, Seascape pullover, that knit by Andrea. I keep forgetting the last name, I'm very sorry. Actually, I do have it written down here somewhere. Perhaps? No, I don't. Well, that's annoying. I gotta note that down somewhere. But at least I knit that Seascape pullover, I think it's called, or Seascape sweater. And I really did enjoy that. And that was a round joke sweater, which I hadn't done before, and the first one I did with Colorwork. So yeah, I really did enjoy that. And that's a fit I really do enjoy. I use that sweater a lot lately. It's perfect when it comes to I want to be warm, but I still want my sleeves to be 3/4 length, and it's relatively short, so it makes me look taller. It's kind of funny. I'm very short, so having a cropped sweater makes me look taller because my legs look longer. And I usually wear my black t-shirt underneath, the one that I've knit, which I will also release next year as soon as I've done a second sample, because I didn't take good enough notes. So I have to like really look at my t-shirt and replicate it to get everything the way I want it. Also, I'm gonna recommend that you do the I-cord a lot looser. I did it quite tight on purpose because I wanted to raise the neckline, because it was a t-shirt I'm gonna use for concerts, and I want to be both comfortable and proper when I'm on a concert. Yeah, I've talked about that before. I'm gonna knit a new one probably quite soon, because I want more t-shirts in cotton merino. I really love that. It's been really enjoyable. So yeah. But first things first. I'm gonna do the hat. No, the red sweater first, just to get the stitch marker off. Then I'm gonna do the sailor sweater, just to get the hem done. Then I'm gonna do the hat, and then the socks. And when all of that's done, I'm gonna cast on a second cable sweater. That's what I want to. And I'm gonna do it with this green yarn, hand-dyed. I really do love green and blue and those colors, so I'm very much looking forward to having more clothing in those colors. And I have to figure out what to do with this, because the gauge is so off, but I really do like that color combination. So maybe a completely different sweater. We'll see. Okay, there was a bit of rambling here at the end. Yeah, actually there's two more things I want to show. Acquisitions and all of that. I don't have any new yarn. I do instead have two things I want to show. One of them was a Christmas present, which I'm very happy about. It's this needle set. You have seen the first small pair that I have used. That's in the Seascape. No, I mean that's in the sailor sweater. This one. And that's the only needles that's been annoying me. I've been trying the other ones, and those are, I don't have any trouble with those, so perhaps it's the cable that's the problem and not the needles. I'm gonna try them with a different pair of cables. Perhaps the combination is just not working, but I really do love this. I love how it folds up and how everything is very secure, and this little pouch that came with it, and in here I do have a lot more cables. I've been trying them out. And I also have this like a needle checker thing, which I don't understand why they put in here, because as you might be able to see, all the needles have clearly written on them what size all the needles are. They also have like some words of inspiration on them, like grace, serene, inspire, balance, awake, exhale, believe, peace, rejoice, dream, another breathe. Yeah, and the smallest one, I don't even remember what was on them. But like, yeah, this is the mindful collection. Mine is the gratitude set. My husband bought it for me. It was the exact one I wanted, so, you know, he follows directions quite well. Other things in here. There's a small thing in the back here, a zipper, and when you open it, you find a lot of things in here. I'm just gonna pull them all out, I think. That's the easiest way to do it. First of all, there are 2 needles. These are quite big. I don't think I'm ever gonna use them. They are a lot bigger than any of the needles I have already. So these ones would just be if I do something with bulky weight. Never gonna do that, probably. So yeah, these are way too big for me to fasten ends, in my opinion. But they're very nice. They're the same color as the rest of the set, so yeah. The other things are, I do have a lot of tiny, all the way through big, stitch markers. I have these ones, which are like those that you can open. And these ones that are the circular ones, but they are open, so you can just clip them on and off. And then 3 different sizes of the circular ones that I actually haven't tried before. So that's kind of fun. These smallest ones are super tiny, and the big ones are actually quite big. And then there's this size that's in between. So yeah, those are all the stitch markers. I mean, 5 sets of stitch markers, that's a lot. So if I didn't have any stitch markers before, I now definitely do, though I have a lot of stitch markers. And the last thing is this tiny pouch, which actually is very smart, because in here they have, this is not like needle stoppers in the correct sense, but more like you remove the needles from the cable and then you put these ones on instead, which are like still very cute. And also there's this tiny needles that you use to tighten the cables, or the needles on the cables, which have been very practical. So yeah, just to make them even tighter. And I think there's 2 of these and 6 of these needle stoppers things in here. The pouch is so small that I'm actually having a bit of trouble getting things out. Actually, I think there's 3 needles in here. It feels like 3 needles, 4 needles, and a lot of these ones. I had from before 2 of these needles. I have them somewhere else. I'm not 100% certain. But I bought the 3.5 and the 5 millimeters. These 2 needles, I now have double, because I wanted to try new needles, and I was really much enjoying these 2 needles so much that I wanted this set. And I also, because of that, have a few cables that didn't come with this set, which I'm now gonna join together, I guess. Not the extra needles, because they don't have space in this one. Perhaps I can just put them in the, like, in the end here and here. But yeah, I'm gonna put all the cables in this case to have them together. So I do have a lot of those needle stoppers and extra cables and also needles already. So I don't think I'm gonna keep all of those needles, but a few would probably be a good idea, and perhaps I will put one or two somewhere safe just in case I will lose some. Yeah. I didn't just want a super expensive needle set and hadn't tried them before. I had, which is why I was a bit disappointed about the smallest size, because I haven't run into that issue before at all. And I do not know if it's that specific cable with those needles that get into that trouble or not. Anyway, I'm soon gonna put away the entire project those are on, so probably won't be a problem. The second thing I wanted to show you, and I do realize we have been talking for quite a while now, is last time I showed you the trouble I had with the box with all the tags and all the yarn connected to the tags, and then I was annoyed because it wasn't that easy to keep track of as I wanted. So I have now started a new way of dealing with it. I did tell you the last time that every year I do a bullet journal, and this year's bullet journal is this one, which is the official bullet journal, which I have not been enjoying because they have done some changes to the grid. But like, yeah, this is the projects that I've been noting down and stuff in the old one. So yeah, and then I decided I could have started a second just knitting journal, but I do not enjoy having a bunch of different notebooks. I would rather have things together, and the past few years I've been using one book a year. In the beginning I used 3 or 4 books a year, and I do not mind if I eventually have to go back to more books a year, because that just depends on how much I need to write things down. So this is my next year's bullet journal, 2025. I have started setting up some of the things that I do know I'm gonna need. Like, here's my project page for knitting. So I have transferred 2 of my projects. Yeah. But the thing I wanted to show was here in the back, in the very, very back, I have started to tape in some tags and write down the number name, and then actually tape in the yarn so I can see what it looks like. This is from my sailor sweater, so both of these are in one project, and I have like done quite a few, and I haven't taped in all of the yarn samples yet. This one I haven't actually used for anything. It's those 2. Oh, this was not easy. These 2. Those are merino yarns, but I haven't actually used them for anything yet. I just skinned them up because I was planning on doing something and then redecided. So I'm gonna snip some yarn off those and figure out which one is which one. One of them is Deep Dive, the other one is Daydreamer. I do know I have the right names in my Ravelry, I just haven't looked in that. Yeah. This is the Angel City that's in the socks. Yeah. And Here are some of the samples for the other socks, the Alpakka Forte socks. I haven't taped in the green one yet. And then, yeah, I have that for a lot of pages here. Like Anita Strikketante, which is, to be honest, my favorite sock yarn. Though I haven't completed any socks in these yarns yet, I have skinned them up and wanted to use them for other things. And eventually I'm getting to the, because I started in the back, it was the easiest way to do it. So the very, very, very back of this book is all the double Sunday I've been using. These two here at the top is for a sweater I used. This one is the green. It's very deep green, so it looks black. But this is green, this is black, this is red and blue. Those are the first 4 hats I made, forest hiking hats. And then these down here are the next 4 ones. While this one haven't actually been used in a project. I bought one skein quite a long time ago to do some swatching with, which is what I used to determine the gauges for the hats. But I only bought one skein, so it wasn't enough to actually make anything out of. So that one now lives in my bucket of leftover yarn. I did skein up all the leftovers, and originally I put it like right behind me here, but I realized I didn't like that, so I put all the leftovers back in the bucket, but now skinned up in a better way, or not skinned up, like into a ball, I guess. And I am gonna use it for something. I just don't know quite what yet. I am thinking. I'm thinking a lot. But I do have now quite a good idea of how much yarn I need to knit a sweater for myself. And usually I think about that in grams. So yeah, I do know I need more grams when the yarn is thicker, but like this one and the double Sunday yarn, I do know almost exactly how much yarn I need to make sweaters, even when I do them cabled. So I am kind of thinking perhaps I do have enough left over double Sunday yarn to make a sweater. Maybe. If not, I can buy more double Sunday and do like stripes with different colors, because obviously I do have a lot of different colors. Most of them are relatively neutral, and I do not have anything left over of these two. I might have when I fix the sweater, because one of the things I'm gonna do is make it smaller. It was too big, kind of compared to what I want to use it for. So yeah. So that's the plan. Don't have anything left over of these, but I do have leftovers of all of the other ones. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I have been talking a lot. Sorry about that. There's been quite a lot longer episode than I was planning on. But thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!